All right, welcome into another episode of the Alliance Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Bam Rivers, and my special guest today is my boy, Chris Eady, who is a market manager here in the Columbus, Georgia area. Chris, it's a pleasure to have you again, my boy.
I appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, man. So listen, we're in the process of making sure that you are educated, enlightened, and make sure that you know everything you need to know when it comes to your roofing questions and concerns. So Chris, really the first thing I want to ask is when it comes to replacing the roof in terms of a leaky roof, does homeowners insurance cover a leaky roof?
It all depends. If it's leaking, there's a bunch of rotting wood and stuff like that. Insurance is not going to cover the rotting wood because it's technically neglect.
Okay.
That's how the insurance looks at it. It depends on where it's leaking from. If the leak is caused by storm damage. If it's just wear and tear on the home, insurance is not going to cover it.
Right, I got you. So if an insurance company is able to cover the leak in the roof, how can they actually help? What's that process look like?
It's basically the same process. We find enough storm damage.
Right.
After we do our inspection, we'll help them file the claim. And once we file the claim, they'll schedule an adjuster to come out and they'll do their inspection.
Okay.
And then they'll take all their documents and everything and either make a decision right there, or most cases they send it up to a desk adjuster who will make their decision. But if we deem there is storm damage up there, most definitely we will fight for it, point blank period.
Absolutely. Now listen, you being the expert in this field, there are certain things that you know to look for that myself, a customer, or any other customer may not know what to look for. So how do you actually go about finding a leaky roof?
The first telltale sign is staining in the ceiling. Like there'd be like little small brown stains, or right. The ceiling sagging, even if your carports, your garages, any room in your house, brown stains, possible cracking and sagging in your ceilings. If you see just water running down your wall or streaks coming down your walls, it's a huge sign right there.
Now, if a roof is leaking, talk about pricing, because we all want to know how much something costs, and is it affordable to us, even though we know we need to get it done. How much does it actually cost to fix a leaky roof?
It just all depends on what exactly on the roof is leaking. If it's the roof itself, it could cost thousands of dollars.
Right.
But if it's something like a pipe jack or just a rain collar needs to be added or something like that, it's $2 or $3.
Okay, so depending on the actual roof itself and how it's leaking, the cost can range from a few dollars to a few $1,000s.
Yes.
It just all depends. So every situation is different.
That's correct.
All right, so when we talk about insurance earlier, we know that with insurance you have to file claims.
Yes.
So what does that process look like in order to file a claim for a roof that's leaking?
It's the same as a storm damaged roof. Do our inspection, file the claim. They send their adjusters out. They do their inspection. Once we get it approved in the system, we'll start all the contract paperwork, everything. Then we'll collect the deductible and the front end, the ACV, and get your materials ordered. And boom, we're getting ready to be built.
Now, what are the most common places that you've been finding roofing leaks in your time?
Valleys, around pipe jacks, around the roof vents, and most of the time it's around chimneys.
Okay, interesting. Now explain that a little bit more, because people would think of the chimney as, fire, smoke, dry area. Why would leaks lie around chimneys often?
Most of the times around the chimneys, so they have their flashing on the side, and they're nailed in. If it's a brick chimney, they're nailed in with concrete nails. And over time, with it being steel, something of that nature, they can rust. They start rusting, and the nails start rusting out, and the metal around it starts rusting, and it starts separating.
Right.
And also, okay. Like for instance, today I seen one that wasn't installed properly. So I told the homeowner, I was like, it may not look like it from the inside,
right,
that your chimney's leaking, but it is definitely leaking. There was about an inch gap.
Well, so let me ask you this question. That's a great explanation from the rust, and now there's separations. Now you're giving water that access to actually come in. But what are some other reasons why my roof may be leaking in the first place?
Your pipe jacks could be dry rotted. All it is, a pipe jack is just a plastic PVC pipe that runs to your plumbing in your house. That comes up through the roof, and there's a rubber base down it that seals it. It could be dry rotted and cracked and stuff. Your any power vents or turtleback vents or anything like that. They could be rusting out. They could be broken from hail damage or wind, or
Right.
they could have been damaged by someone. There's no telling.
So, as someone who's done, a plethora of inspections in your day, right? You're on top of roofs all the time. Can there come a time where somebody who is the subject matter expert like yourself or a roofer be the reason for a leak? And if that's the case, how is that rectified and taken care of?
Absolutely. I've heard cases of vandalism on roofs from roofers. I've seen vandalism on roofs, and it's not a good feeling to be on that roof seeing that it's been vandalized.
Right.
Because you could possibly get blamed for something you didn't do.
Correct.
You have bad installs where your shingles or your valley metal and everything wasn't installed right. Your chimney flashing wasn't installed right. You had the wrong size pipe boots for your pipe jacks, stuff like that.
Now, let's say that the mold becomes a problem, and I know that my roof is leaking. Would getting my leaky roof fixed remove the mold itself, or would there be something else that needs to be done?
No. Just stopping a leak does not remove mold.
Okay.
You can't just go over and paint over it, because the mold is still going to be there. You have to go through the proper channels, which, if it's approved by insurance should be tracking the mold as well. That way, if you have a contractor like us, we will reach out to someone that deals specifically with mold.
Time frame wise, and the one thing as a customer that I always want to know is, how long is something growing, especially if it's going wrong. When it comes to mold and the situation that we're looking at, if the roof is leaky, like how long does it take mold to grow as a result of the leaky roof?
Mold could take anywhere from 18 to 21 days, depending on the type of mold and how much moisture and things like that.
Gotcha. And on average, and this may differ from person to person because everybody's different, and I know there are different types of mold, but how long can it take for someone to become ill or get sick as a result of mold?
Like you said, it all depends on the person. Your younger infants and toddlers and senior citizens, they may get sicker quicker. And like myself and you, we may not get sick at all.
Right.
There's no telling. But I do know that the black mold is down south is the most toxic one. It's not technically airborne.
I got you. Now, do roof leaks actually cause mold, Chris?
Yes, they do. They do.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how does an actual leaky roof cause mold? What happens in that process to create that?
So your roof is made to shed the water off and protect everything inside your house, because everything inside your house is supposed to be dry.
Correct.
From your drywall to your floors, your ceiling, everything in your attic is supposed to be completely dry. So once water starts leaking in, it's sitting in those dry spots that are supposed to be dry. Over time, that 18 to 21 days, if it doesn't dry up before then, that's when you start having your mold issues and everything like that. So if you notice mold in your ceiling or coming down your walls or anything like that, it's probably worse in the attic.
Now, in addition to mold, Chris, what other things can a leaky roof cause in terms of damage to the house?
It damages your ceilings, all your belongings, all your electrical. It could cause fires. It'll damage your flooring in your house. Just anything of that sort.
So basically, what I'm hearing is people think a leaky roof is just a leaky roof, but in all actuality, a leaky roof can lead to a whole bunch of other dangers regarding your house.
Yes.
Got you. All right. Now, you spoke about the attic earlier, and I want to ask you this question. When it comes to a leaky roof, can I actually fix, or can a leaky roof be fixed without having access to one's attic?
It can be, but in order to find that leak, it's going to take a much longer process if you can't access from underneath it, because you have to be able to see where the evidence is of the roof has been leaking.
Now, listen, if I'm in my house, and again, I'm somebody who is nowhere near the subject matter expert you are on this field and in this information regarding this information, if I see a leak in my roof and I look up and I think to myself, man, maybe I can do something from the inside of the house. Can a roof leak actually be fixed from the inside?
No, it can't.
So that's a misconception. Don't try to do it.
Yep.
Got you.
You may get up there and spray some Flex Seal on it from the inside of the attic or something like that, but all you're doing is just covering the problem temporarily.
Got you. Okay. Now, I'm also in my mind thinking, hey, if it's raining and I get a leak, that makes sense to me. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not raining, why is the roof still leaking?
That could be either standing water, like you could have in your valleys, you have a bunch of pine straw built up. It could be standing water with the pine straw or leaves.
Right.
Or your gutters could be overflowing back into your soffit area in your home. But most of the time, if it's not raining and you see water coming from your ceiling, it's a plumbing issue or air conditioner. Most of the time, it's air conditioner.
Got you. Okay. Now, I want you to talk to me first about, one, what is a pinhole leak? And two, how can I actually find a pinhole leak in my roof?
Pinhole leak is probably the worst one to try to track down.
Why is that?
Because a lot of times it's hit and miss. Like if it rains, it might not do it. Unless it's a really heavy storm or something like that.
Right.
It has to be one of those where it's the right spot at the right time. And it could either be just like a small drip every now and then, or it could just be leaking straight
just
through.
Open up, yeah.
But that one is the hardest to track, because if it's just a pinhole, it's more than likely new. So you're not going to have the evidence around it.
I got you. Well, let me ask you this question. What steps can be taken to temporarily stop a roof leak?
I don't suggest temporarily fixing anything, whether it be anything on your house or your car or anything like that. You want to go for more permanent fixes, but we do understand sometimes you have to go the temporary route. So roofing tar. If you have someone, you can get some roofing tar from Home Depot or Lowe's or anything of that such. It's really nasty, but you can take some roofing tar and you can go up there, and if you know where it's at, cover it up from the top. Don't cover it from the bottom. Cover it from on top of the roof. Roofing flashing sealant in the tubes. It's a lot cleaner. It's about the same thing as roofing tar, but it's more of in a caulking gun, basically. If it's just replacing a shingle, you can do that. Google be your best friend for replacing a shingle.
No doubt.
But if it's really steep, don't do it. Hire somebody, please.
Absolutely.
So
good deal. Well, listen, Chris, this information is very valuable, because, again, I think a lot of people really have misconceptions about why leaks are caused on their roof, what type of mold can be caused. I'm glad you talked about black mold, because that can be very dangerous. You talked about attic access and making sure that you can have access to the attic. We know that leaking roofs don't need to be fixed from the inside. So these are all questions that people like me are going to ask experts like you. So I appreciate you taking the time, man, as the market manager, to come in here and answer these questions. And I know there will be a lot of people in the market and around this world and this country that are going to appreciate this insight.
no doubt, bro.
Always good to have you. Can't wait to see you back, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
All right, and listen, that's Chris Eddy. He's a market manager, and he was once a project manager. So you can tell by the wealth of information that he possesses. He's been doing this at a very high level. And Chris continues to study, he continues to grow, and he continues to help his team grow. So if you have information that you want answered, or if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Alliance Specialty Contractor. Check out these videos. They are putting you in position to educate yourself and make sure you can make the best informed decision to get your roof taken care of. Hey, this has been another phenomenal episode of the Alliance Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Bam Rivers, and we'll see you next time. God bless.